I'm from Atlanta.
Born and raised?
Born and raised.
Certain part you represent?
Yeah, I represent Ashby, the Bluff, Simpson. All that is a part of me because my mom kind of bounced from one end to the next, and it's all like the same area.
Now, what was it like growing up in Atlanta for you? Can you paint that picture for us?
Well, growing up in Atlanta was fun, definitely fun. Growing up on the west side, it was fun because we probably didn't have as much as everybody else, but that was the fun part about it because we made something out of nothing. Like we were playing, everybody else playing Monopoly and all these other games. We in the streets playing, hide and go seek and all these other games. You know what I mean? It was hard, but I do remember those fun times too. So.
When you say hard, talking about a rough upbringing?
Yeah, of course. Like no light sometimes. Sometimes I was ready to go to school more than I was to stay at home because my mom really didn't have a lot. She almost never had a job. So it's kind of like we didn't have a lot. Sometimes the lights be off, water be off, everything be off. School was fun for me because it was like a getaway from home, a getaway from the struggle, a getaway from reality.
What was the bottom point? I mean, no lights and that stuff is one thing, but was it worse than that? Was there a point where it was even worse than that?
Yes, it was worse when basically, I guess, I ran away from home. And I ran away from home when I was like 14. And because it was so many problems, and I just felt like I could raise myself better in a way. So I ran away from home, and I had to sleep in abandoned apartments and, stuff like that. That was the bottom for me.
Now, running away from home at 14, did you ever go back?
No. I went to Juvenile, and that was basically it. Like, from Juvenile, I got committed to the state, and for me being committed to the state, it was like group homes. And from then, I never went back home. Matter of fact, I went home one time. I went home one time when I believe I was 16 years old. I came home from a group home. My mom, she's from Indiana. So I don't know nothing about Indiana. Like I said, I'm from Atlanta. My mom raised me here. My siblings are from here. So she went back to Indiana where she's from to, kind of take care of her parents or whatever. They sick. So when I went back there, it's like a totally different zone. It's like totally different down there. I'm not used to this stuff that they're doing, and I'm not used to all this other stuff. So it was just too different for me at the age that I was at. I was at the age where I want to go home. Atlanta is where I'm home at. Like I'm not getting comfortable here at all. And then I told my mom, like, I was having a hard time in school, being that I was in a juvenile. When you're in a juvenile, they don't really teach you as they would regularly. They teach you based on, basically, they give you workbooks. You don't really, like, they don't teach you hands-on. Like a regular school, it's a lesson of the day, and it's not like that. You just get worksheets. It's pretty much easier than regular school because all you have to do is fill out worksheets. And half of the stuff is 9 times out of 10 stuff that you already did in school. It's just, you're doing it over. It's very easy stuff, but yeah.
So you went home for one time, and you didn't stay too long?
I didn't stay too long because when I went to school, like I said, I was a little behind, being that they never taught me. So basically, I asked the teacher for help one day, and I never forget, he told me I was supposed to already know that. When his job is to teach me, I felt like that was kind of out of line. And I was really appalled myself that he would say something like that. Being that I had came from a new state and everything, the counselors and everybody was giving me a little help. You know what I mean? They know my situation, so they were giving me a little help. And for him to tell me that, it kind of belittled me. And it made me feel like shit. Like it made me feel like nothing. And I went home that day and I told my mama, I said, I'm not going back to school. And from that day on, I never went back to school.
Dropped out?
I dropped out at 16.
What grade was that?
That was 10th grade.
Now, I want to break some things down. You went to Juvenile.
Yes.
For what?
I went to Juvenile for being a runaway.
They could take you to jail for that?
Yeah. If you do it, it's like the first couple, maybe the first 2 times, if your parents are willing to take you back home, then they'll let you just go home. Once they find you or whatever the case may be, they'll just drop you off to your parents. But once I was living with my grandma, and it got to a point where I was running away so much. She was in her 60s. She was kind of getting old. It started being stressful. And then on top of that, she was trying to help me. She was doing my mom a favor. So basically, after the second time or the third time, she washed her hands with me, and she just basically told them, like, she don't really, she don't want to do nothing. Like, her hands are washed,
This is your grandma?
My grandma.
On your mom's side?
My dad.
Your dad's side?
Right.
Mm. Where's your dad?
My dad passed away.
Oh, yeah. Your dad did pass away. Yeah, that's right. Pretty tough.
Right. It's like kind of hard because, like I said, before I was born, he passed away. So it's kind of hard to not ever be able to call anyone dad. It is. It's hard not being able to say daddy, like, in a fatherly meaning. It's just, that's hard. That was one of the hardest things growing up. And especially if, not saying that my mom isn't strong, but when he was dating her, he kind of handicapped her. She was a dancer. She didn't have to dance anymore, and so it just, when he passed away, she fell into a deep depression. So she really didn't want to do anything for years and years at a time.
You did say she didn't really have too many jobs.
Right. She never had too many jobs. She never really had jobs. Like, I can count on one hand how many jobs she had.
Tough.
Right.
But at 14, when you initially run away, you're going straight to grandma's, or you're trying to figure this out on your own? Or you already have a friend, or you have...
No, when I started running away, the first day I ran away because my grandma, like I said, she was older. So that's just like, okay, basically, she's a Jehovah's Witness. But I wasn't raised upon being a Jehovah's Witness. This was new to me. My aunts, which are her daughters, they are Christians. They're not Jehovah's Witness. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was brought up upon. I was brought up upon Jesus Christ being, our Savior. And, I was brought up on the Bible. You know what I mean? I wasn't brought up in Jehovah's Witness reading these catalogs and these papers. So it's kind of hard for you to make a child get into something that they're not. It got to a point where she basically wouldn't let me go outside. I couldn't go to the movies with my other friends. It was just basically like I was just being held in. And that's what pushed me to run away, because basically how I ended up with my grandma, my mom couldn't take care of me. And my grandma felt like it was best for me to move with her because she could fully take care of me. And everybody else felt like the same. So my mom just gave my grandma temporary custody of me.
I see.
And I ran away the first time from my grandma's house because basically I feel like she tried to change me.
Where were you going?
When I first ran away, I wanted to go to a party. And she told me no. But it's like I had good grades. I was a good kid. I had a little smart mouth every now and then, but it was nothing that you wouldn't expect from a little girl. You know what I'm saying? So I just didn't understand why she wouldn't let me go to the party. I had been, like, into the school year. I had been there for, like, 6 months. It's not like I had just moved there and I just met these people. I had been knowing these friends, you know what I'm saying, for 6 months at least. And she wouldn't let me go to the party, so it kind of just made me feel like, what am I doing good for if she doesn't, you know what I'm saying? If I'm doing good and she don't let me, you know what I'm saying, do fun stuff, what am I doing good for? It don't matter to me. So I ran away to my friend's house who was going to the party. It was a pajama party. And we went from there, went to the pajama party, came back to my friend's house, and went to another friend's house. It was the weekend. Went to another friend's house. And then that day, when I was going, I think I was walking inside my friend's house, and the police had seen me, because I guess they had been looking around the neighborhood for me for a few days. The police had seen me, and they took me to my grandma's house.
I see. So, okay, you drop out at 10th grade. What is your mom thinking when you make this decision?
Honestly, from the age of, I'd say, 12, from the age of 12 to the age of 16, she didn't raise me. So it's like I'm a whole teenager. You missed all my teenage years. So you honestly don't know me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know I've been through a lot. I've been in the juvenile. You know what I'm saying? That's all you really know about me, my mom. So honestly, she really didn't say much about it. I told her, I said, I'm not going back to school, and there's nothing that anybody could do to fix the feeling that he gave me. You know what I mean? So I told her I was going back to Atlanta, and she just said, okay, go ahead.
Where's a 16-year-old in Atlanta going to?
At this time, I had a few older cousins, like my mom's sisters, daughters or whatever, and they would just let me stay with them. So.
I see. Now, when you were in school, what kind of kid were you in class? You kind of told us a moment where you were getting good grades and you were doing the right things. You wanted to go to a party. Sounds innocent.
Right.
But at some point, did it start getting off from that?
It started to get off when my grandma just was so strict. You know what I mean? So it's like, at this point, okay, you don't want to let me go out nowhere? I'm going to have all my fun at school. Like, there's no way other than that to explain it. Like, honestly, that's how it was. Like, you don't want to let me go nowhere? It got to a point my aunt bought me a cell phone for Christmas, and she started taking my phone and stuff like that. Like, just everything was being taken away from me or not given to me. When I did good, no credit was given. And, you know, kids need that. Like, honestly, kids need that. They need to be told, I'm proud of you and stuff like that. Or, let's go to the movies. I'm going to take you and your friend to the movies. Even if she would have took me and my friend, it was never none of that. Never none of that.
So you had a strict upbringing over there. You didn't like it. What about rapping? Were you doing any of this stuff while you were going to school?
Yes, I was. Actually, I had, I would say a girls group when I was about 13 or 14. I was in like the 7th grade. I had a girls group, and the girls group, I think it was called Pretty Rich Chicks, PRC. And we used to rap, stuff like that. A lot of us used to cheer. We used to be on the cheerleading team. That was one of the things that she did let me do. She let me get on the cheerleading team, but I had to beg her. So.
Did you put this group together?
I put the group together. I was the CEO of the group. I was a leader.
And what happened with that group?
Like I said, we were in the 7th or 8th grade, so it kind of, by that next school year, over the summertime, it had kind of faded away because everybody, you know how it is, all the kids going to their family and this state, and, you know, it's kind of, you know.
Did you battle other classmates? Were you into stuff like that?
What do you mean?
Like freestyling against other people? You know, battling.
More so in Juvenile. I did a lot of rapping in Juvenile. I did a lot of writing in Juvenile. I did a lot of poetry in Juvenile. I even had one event in some juveniles. They have events. You know, some kids can't get out because they have charges or they can't find a group home or something like that. So they make events for those who are in the Juvenile and who are doing good and doing what they're supposed to do amongst the Juvenile rules. So they, you know, have these little events, not events, but talent shows that they let you bring whatever talent you had. And it was a time I did poetry at one Juvenile because I've been to maybe three different facilities. And at each one, I did something. At Metro, I did poetry. At Marietta, I did a rap. And also, they have a thing called Gold Card. It's basically like the best of the best. Like, you have you know, when you're in school, in elementary school, you have like a behavior sheet or cards or something like that. Like, you did good today, so let me give you a green card. Basically, I was on Gold Card. It takes a month to get to Gold Card without no fines or anything. And I became the president of Gold Card. I actually got close with the director of the facility. And everybody was just on my team. Like, I came up with a lot of the events amongst the Juvenile.
How much time did you actually do in Juvenile?
I did 6 months. Well, I'd say altogether a year because it was like for the first 6 months, it's like I get out, I go to Juvenile, go to Juvenile for 30 days, get out for 30 days, go back to Juvenile for 30 days, get out for 30 days. And then that last time I got stuck in there. Like, they wouldn't let me back out because they felt like I was a flight risk. So I stayed in juvenile that last time, a full 6 months.
When does the group home situation come in all this picture that we've painted so far?
The group home comes after the juvenile. I was waiting the 6 months for a group home. It's sometimes when you're known for running away, a lot of group homes are not as accepted versus if a kid is just homeless. You know what I'm saying? They'll take a kid who's homeless before they'll take a runaway.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, all the kids who are in the group home are not necessarily runaways. Some of them, mom didn't want them or, something like that.
What was the group home stuff like?
It was like waking up. I went to 2 group homes. The first group home, matter of fact, I went to 3 group homes. The first group home I ever went to was the worst. It was very, very strict. You walk to the school. The school that I went to was on the same street as the group home. So you walk to the school, and that's about the only freedom that you're going to get. The food is horrible at this specific group home. You have to go to bed. When you first get there, you have to go to bed at 8 o'clock. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be showered and everything before 8 o'clock. Lights out by 8. So it was kind of very different from what I was used to. Like, my grandma was strict, but she was never that strict. You know what I'm saying? Second group home, it was a little bit more lenient. I ran away from the second group home because it was so lenient. It was basically like they let us go to school, everything regular. But the only thing about it is the girls in there, it was just like too much. They got us roomed up with 4 and 5 girls. You're dealing with this person's emotions, these girls' emotions. You're the new girl, so it's just like, you know how when you're the new girl, anywhere you go, people gonna try you. So you gotta feel like you gotta make an example and this and that, but they let us bring our own makeup. You can have cell phones versus the other one, you couldn't have cell phones. You couldn't have anything. This one let us have cell phones. You could, be out around the house until about 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. So it was better, but I just still didn't want to be there, so I ran away from there too. And when I ran away from there, I went to, basically, it was more of a facility. It was like a lockdown, but it was still a group home. It was a behavioral a behavioral facility that kids go to when they have behavioral issues, not necessarily mental issues, but when they bipolar and when they got ADHD, parents can't control them. Some are runaways, So I went there, and that one was that's where I liked that better. I feel like that one changed me as a person.
Now, what's the difference between juvenile and a group home?
Juvenile is like jail. Just like jail, you wear their clothes every day. You wash up with their soap. You know what I'm saying? Group homes, you have your own soap. You know what I'm saying? Your own perfume. You got weave in your hair. Juvenile, you don't have no weave. You don't have no makeup. You can't do nothing. Like, you just have to be the real you. The real you comes out when you're in juvenile.
So explain to me how this, okay, so you go to juvenile, you get out. You go to juvenile, you get out, you go to juvenile. Then you go to the first group home?
I go to juvenile, I get out, then I go to the first group. No. Like in the midst of, okay, I go to juvenile, I get out, I go back to my grandma.
Okay.
Run away again. Go to another juvenile. Go to the first group home. Run away from there. Get caught like 30 days later. Go to, I'm in juvenile for 6 months this time. Go to basically another group home, and then I went to a behavioral city. No. I went to, hold on, I'm getting confused. Yeah, I think I went to it was so long ago. I think I went to the group home first, and the behavioral center was last, and then I went to Indiana with my mom. Yep, just like that.
I see.
And then after that, I never got caught again. Once I went with my mom, she never put a warrant out on me. She never did any of that. Like, I just was on my own. I never got caught. None of that.
You, back at your mom, you drop out of high school.
Right.
Did you ever go for your GED ever?
No, not yet. I plan on doing it. It's something that I want to get done.
Looking back at your life and you making the decision to drop out, was that the right decision to make? Or do you wish you would have stayed in, or?
Honestly, to be all the way 1,000 with you, I feel like that was great because I wouldn't be who I am today. It made me stronger. It made me be able to see the real world for what it is instead of me just now seeing the world. I would be just now becoming who I am. You know what I'm saying? I feel like everything that I went through from the age of 14, 16 made me who I am now. Everything. I don't regret not a part of it.
16 years old, now you're back in Atlanta with your cousins.
All right.
Are you getting a job at this point? How are you surviving?
16, I didn't really have a job. I basically had a boyfriend, I guess you could say, and he was getting money. So he kind of just helped me as much as he could. And that, as much as he could, was just as much as I needed. I didn't really need a lot because I was only 16. It wasn't much that I was doing. And I was living with my older cousins, so they would always make sure I'm good, even if I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they had, it was mine. Clothes, food, whatever. It was never a problem.
Now, did you have any jobs growing up?
Growing up, I did have a job. When I was 16, I started dancing. Like 16 going on 17.
Exotic dancing.
Right, I started being a stripper.
Did you have any regular jobs before that?
Never had a regular job, ever.
What made you go for that job so young?
Because, like I said, I was a runaway for one. So it was kind of impossible for me to get a job. You have to have school records. You have to have certain stuff when you're a minor and you're trying to get a job. It's certain stuff that they require. So I knew that was out of the question because I wasn't going back home to get a job. You know what I'm saying? And I had a lot of older friends who did that. Like a lot of people, I'm very mature for my age. I hear that a lot. I've always been hearing that. So I attract a lot of older people. So most of my friends, they were probably like, I'd say I was 16. They were probably like at least 18, 19. And they would be like, girl, I done went to this club, that club. I made money. And also around that time, Instagram started popping. And there was a lot of people on Instagram like just dancing. I saw a lot of girls making a lot of money stripping. Like just, it was goals to me.
Now, at 16, are you allowed to be exotic dancing legally?
No, you're not.
18 or up?
You have to be 18 or up. And now, in Atlanta, you have to be 21.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they just passed the law in June or July.
So, how were you able to exotic dance at 16 years old?
Honestly, I got a fake ID. And when I got the fake ID, basically, I wasn't working at like a club that requires a permit. I was working at after-hour club where they don't really require a permit. They don't really look at your ID a lot and stuff like that. So it was like the perfect situation for me. So basically, I got a fake ID, and I got the fake ID. The fake ID ran good for about, I say, 2 to 3 months. I was good. Some people found out I started dancing. They started hating. Some of my family members who didn't approve started calling the job and telling them that I was underage. So basically, they told me that I couldn't work until I had further proof of my age. So I'm a smart person. I went to somebody who I know, and I had them make me a fake birth certificate. So once I got the fake birth certificate made, that just got me back in the door with dancing. So I just stayed on the low with the dancing until I turned about 18. And by that time, my Instagram followers and everything was kind of up.
You exotic dancing so young at 16. Were you getting naked?
No, I wasn't getting naked. Like I said, it was an after-hour spot, basically a titty bar where you weren't allowed. At the after-hour spots, you're not allowed to get naked.
Ah.
That's the plus about it. Because you still make good money, but you're basically dancing around in a swimsuit.
Pretty good income?
Yeah, it was good for me. I mean, what I know is money now, I didn't think was money then. Back then, it was paying for every expense that I had. Where I was living at, I was helping my cousin pay rent. So it was doing a lot that I needed without having to, put my life on the line or do no crazy shit. So it worked out perfectly for me, honestly.
Now, you had people hating on you in the family and stuff like that.
Right.
What did your mom think about all this when she found out you were dancing?
Honestly, my mom was one of the people who called and tried to get me. Yeah, like she didn't mind me not being in Atlanta with my family members and stuff, but when she found out that I was dancing, she got the information as to where, and she called them because she didn't approve, like her baby girl dancing. She didn't approve.
And she had an exotic dancing past herself.
Right. But it's like once I started sending her money, because like I said, she never had a job, even still to this day, she doesn't keep a job. So it's like I started helping her. I was 16, Western Union her money from here to Indiana. So that kind of made her, I guess, respected in a way. I don't know. I honestly, to this day, don't understand. But, you know, she kind of fell back from it and understood that I'm going to do what I want to do regardless, and I'm going to find a way regardless. So I guess she just started respecting it.
Now, you being 16, because nowadays times are different.
Very.
A 16-year-old girl most often doesn't look like a 16-year-old girl. They look older than what they are. Now, maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago, a 16-year-old girl looked really young. Now, a 16-year-old girl, they're wearing makeup, they're doing this, they're doing... They can look 18, 19, maybe even older than that.
Easy.
When you were underage working at the establishment you were at, did people ever question your age? I mean, you said it was good for 2 or 3.
Yeah, a lot of people did question my age.
Like, we're talking customers and stuff like that?
I wouldn't say customers. It was more so other dancers.
Oh.
More so other dancers hating, too. So they'll, like, put it in somebody's ear like, that girl ain't, you know what I'm saying? Something ain't right.
But I guess the only red flag was when people were trying to snitch on you.
Basically, when people were calling them personally. Like, it's one thing if a dancer says something, but when sources outside of the club are telling you, it's different.
Now, in the exotic dancing world, there can be jealousy and envy amongst the dancers.
Right.
Even though they were questioning your age, did they ever try to sabotage you?
Yeah, it's been a lot of times where people try to sabotage me in the strip club.
But we're talking about the 16, 17, 18-year-old range.
Yeah.
They were?
Yeah, they were telling people, oh, you know she ain't nothing but 17. You know she ain't nothing but 16. Stuff like that. I heard it a lot. They were telling customers that, you know. But people gonna fuck with who they want regardless. What's meant for you is gonna be for you. Can't nobody stop that. So regardless of them telling my age, I still managed to work. Still managed to keep my job. You know what I'm saying? Still managed to. One time I was working at a club, and that was about the only time that I got fired. I got fired right before my 18th birthday. Like, it was literally maybe I'd say a month before my 18th birthday party.
And you were fired because?
I was fired because a girl came up there. I still don't know who she is to this day, and told the owner of this specific club that I was underage, and I went to school with her daughter and stuff like that. And he told me that I had to go.
Now, you being 16, you know you're 16 when you're doing this stuff. Did you find any other dancers that were about your age doing the fake ID type of thing? Did you see that going on, or was that just you?
It was maybe like one, literally. Throughout my whole, it was probably about one that I knew of. Everybody else, I was raised around real OGs. Like, all of them girls were older, most of them. They were at least 25.
What's your relationship with your mom nowadays, fast forwarding?
Nowadays, it's okay. It's okay. I'll just leave it at that.
Did you have any male figures in your life? I know your father passed away when you were very, very young, but did you have any other male figures in your life? Didn't sound like it through my questions earlier, but just curious.
Not really. I mean, I had a few, you know, as far as relationships that have taught me a lot, and, you know, dealings with men, but not really like a fatherly figure or nobody who's always checked on me in a fatherly way or nothing like that, no.
What about as far as siblings?
I have two. I have
Brother
a
and
little brother
sister?
and a little sister.
And you're the oldest?
Right, I'm the oldest.
Anybody else in your family does music aside yourself, or just you?
I'm the only one.
What does your family think about your music career?
They love it, and they feel like I'm gonna make it.
Mom, is she supportive of it?
Honestly, to be all the way honest with you, my mom lives in Indiana. She doesn't even know I started music.
Not yet.
Not yet. She don't know. She gonna know very soon, though. She gonna see me on TV.
Knowing what you know now, we've talked about a variety of subjects throughout this interview, but what would Big Essence tell Little Essence? Knowing what you know now, reflecting 2020 here, what would you advise yourself if you could?
Big essence will tell little essence, your time coming, you gotta wait for it.
Now, also, too, I'd like some additional advice, right? Especially with the runaway stuff.
Right.
We talked about that earlier. You're not the only runaway. There's people watching this right now that might be runaways themselves and going through a certain situation.
Of course.
Circumstances could be different for everybody, but, and people can run away for a multitude of reasons, but is there any general advice you would have to somebody watching this that's considered to be a runaway themselves? Maybe around the same teenage period you were. Anything you would tell somebody watching this right now that's maybe just ran away themselves?
Honestly, being a runaway is hard to really, me being a runaway and me knowing other people, like I met a lot of friends who were also runaways along the way. So it's like, their stories were very different, but they were harsh, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like everything happened for a reason, honestly. I really feel like everything happened for a reason. Some people run away to the right route, the route that they was going down, even if it's with their parents or whoever, their guardian. It might not be the route that God wants them to go. It might be meant for you to run away, just like me. I really feel like that was meant for me, and look at me now. I wouldn't be like this. I wouldn't have no drip. I wouldn't have no drip if I never ran away, if I never experienced half the stuff that I went through as a runaway. Like, I wouldn't know as much game as I know. Like, people can't tell me just anything now. If I would have never ran away, I just feel like I wouldn't be who I am. Simple. The advice that I have for them, stay safe. You know what I'm saying? Keep your head up through it. And if you're just running away just because your mom told you something that you don't like, or, you know what I'm saying, run away for a good cause. Don't run away because, you know what I'm saying, you can't have your way right then. I didn't run away because, I couldn't have my way right then. I ran away because I felt like my grandma was just holding me back. Like, she was holding me in, and that brought me out, like, you know. So I just say stay safe, keep your head up, you know, that's all. Stay safe, keep your head up, stay out of trouble. Don't be out here trying to, you know, do nothing, because when you're a runaway, it's hard out here. You might have to steal some stuff and stuff like that. That's just a gateway for you to get caught. You know what I'm saying? So just lay low. If you're a runaway, lay low.
You chose the exotic dancing route because the way you said it almost was probably the only fit for you at that time.
Right.
Looking back, was that the best decision to make right then and there? Could you have made another decision to do a different type of job? I don't know if there was, but...
Being that my dad wasn't an option, it was so hard because my mom is a one-way street. She thinks one way, and my grandma is the same, and neither one of them are really willing to change their ways. You know what I'm saying? So it would have been very hard. And I don't doubt myself at all. So I feel like either way I could have done it, but it wouldn't be the same. It definitely wouldn't be the same.